Hello friends, welcome back to the mothership. Today we're going to smoke this delicious beer can chicken. We're going to do this with a wet brine, 24 hours, and then a honey barbecue rub. It's going to be fantastic, and I can't wait to show you guys how we do it. First things first, we're going to do a brine on our chicken here. It's very simple. Honestly, the rule of thumb is you need to do a tablespoon of kosher salt to a cup of water. I have about 8 cups of water in here. So I have 8 tablespoons of salt, kosher salt. I have about 3 tablespoons, maybe 4 tablespoons of brown sugar, some garlic cloves, and then I'm going to do a beer can chicken, so I'm going to add a little bit of extra beer in here. In general, it's mostly important for the salt. You want to get the salt into the meat. That allows it to retain more moisture, but this is really simple, guys. Let's just get this sucker into our pot, smash these bad boys up. Pull off the outer skin of our garlic, smash them again, throw them in the pot, add our beer, get my cutting board out of here so you can see what I'm doing. Then we're just gonna add in our salt, our sugar. I put the chicken in first because I wanted to make sure that I had enough water to cover it because I didn't check first. And just mix it up. Water is actually kind of warm. Not enough to cook it, but enough to dissolve everything we want to do. And there we go. I'm actually going to flip this chicken over because in general, you want to make sure that the breast is facing down and the drumsticks are facing down as well. That's done. We're going to put this in the fridge overnight. You want to get it at least 12 hours. 24 hours is probably better. But remember, you're putting a lot of salt into this water here and a lot of salt into the chicken. So any dry rub you do, you want to make sure that it is going to be non-salted. So we'll keep that in mind when we do our honey rub tomorrow. 24 hours later and our chicken has been brined. Off camera, I rinsed it completely down. I got all the brine off of here and I patted it dry with a paper towel. Now it's time to apply our honey rub. As a reminder, this rub has no salt in it. We got plenty of salt on this chicken from the brine, so it would be really a bad idea to add any more salt. You'll just end up with an extremely salty meal, and you probably aren't going to like it very much. You could, if you really wanted to go crazy, you could actually pull up the skin here and put it underneath the skin. I've done that. I've done it with herbs and stuff too. People put like rosemary and stuff underneath the skin of the turkey or under the chicken. Definitely an option. People put butter underneath there. The idea is it's going to crisp up the skin, but we're actually going to baste this in butter towards the end of our cook, so that won't be necessary. I think we'll be fine. I just want to low and slow, get some of this honey flavor out, get some smoke onto our little bird friend here. And now this is looking pretty good to me. I think what we're going to do is we are going to put it on a wire rack and put it in the fridge to dry out a little bit. I will come back and let you know when we start the smoker. Now obviously, to do a beer can chicken, at some point we're gonna have to include a beer can, right? In general, when you're picking what beer to use, you wanna do something that's not overly hoppy. You can even do soda. That seems to be the new big thing on the interwebs these days. I'm using a Yinling. Just pour out, about a quarter. And by pour out, I mean drink about a quarter of a can. And then what we're gonna do is cut the top, so it's got a much larger hole there. Be very careful. Goes without saying, you're working with something that's gonna rip your hand open if you cut it wrong. I got this little stand at, I don't know, Home Depot or Lowe's. It was like $6. You don't need a stand. It just makes this next step a little bit easier. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the cavity of the chicken and we're just gonna have our little friend here basically just sit right on top of it. Just like so. And yes, I do feel a little bit bad for doing what I just did to this poor little guy, but here we go. Diddy the smoker is now up to temp. I have it at 225 degrees in pro mode. As you can see, we have our chicken center on the bottom rack because that's all it will fit. I also put our butter that we're gonna use to baste later in the back. I figured why not get a little bit of extra smoky flavor on there. I'm gonna leave it at 225 for an hour, maybe 2 hours, and then bump it up to try and crisp up the skin. So yeah, let's wait. And after many hours, we are now done. Recap. We wet brine this sucker for 24 hours. Then we put a dry rub on it. Then we stuck it, unfortunately, on top of a beer can, going right up the inside of this poor little chicken. Then we threw it on the smoker for 225 degrees for 2 hours. Then we bumped it up to 350 to let it really crisp up. And I basted it with butter just to make sure it absolutely was crispy all around. It's time to get this poor guy off of this beer can, cut off a piece, and see how we did. Oof, you know what? I actually just want to cut off this whole joint right now. Perfect. And I'm going to take one of these wings as well. While we're here, let's get a little piece of meat, just so I can let you guys know how we did. Let's give her the old chomp. Ooh, it's going to be warm. Guys, every single one of these cooks is coming out fantastic. This honey barbecue rub is so good with this brine chicken. I can't believe how good that was. It's so succulent and juicy, and the amount of honey coming through in that rub, I did not expect to be that flavorful and that sweet, but still not be too killer, because we didn't put any salt, remember, into that rub. We had it wet brine, so all the salt is coming from the wet brine that we did overnight yesterday. This is a really good cook, guys. I love this. This might be how I do all of my beer can chickens from now on. You guys should give this a try, absolutely. And let me know what you think in the comments down below. Send me a like, send me a comment, send me a subscription if you're interested in this kind of content. And you know what, guys? Welcome to the mothership, and please stick around for the next cook.